Bob McIntyre is a retired Charleston County Register of Deeds employee having many years of computer experience. Now he wants to bring that experience back to the office to become the next Register of Deeds for Charleston County. I talked one-on-one with Bob for this edition of Quintin's Close-Ups. And if you haven't already, subscribe to my YouTube channel and like Quintin's Close-Ups on Facebook. Bob McIntyre, welcome to Quintin's Close-Ups.
Thank you, Quintin. Happy to be here.
Well, I appreciate it greatly. I know that you are a retired IT specialist and supervisor of imaging. You have at least 26 years of experience in the real Register of Deeds office for Charleston County. And overall, you have 42 years of experience in the computer world, from my understanding.
Correct.
Now, I understand, as I mentioned, you're retired, but now you want to become the next Register of Deeds. In fact, you are a Republican candidate for that position. Tell me why Bob McIntyre? Why now?
Under the 3 years that I spent under the current register, I saw a dismantling of the 20 years of progress we made under the leadership of Charlie Libran. And we were, in our opinion, the best in the state. We started digitizing in 1997. And the progressions, I mean, we went through the 2006 boom. No problem. We set up workflow processes that were very efficient. So over the last 3 years, I had to watch the dismantling of all that progress we made. And I decided that was enough. And we needed to have somebody go in there that will work with either council or legislature to put some oversight on that office so that this type of situation, if it were to come up again in another 4 years with another elected official, can be stopped.
Thank you, Bob. When exactly did that particular office dismantle under his particular leadership, the current register?
Well, it started with the office is very unique. Just management skills doesn't give you what you need to run this office, because it's like an assembly line. And you've got the recording, then the scanning, then the indexing.
Yeah.
The workflow of the documents, they have to go to the auditor's office.
Yes.
They have to go to the assessor's office.
Yes.
So the processes that we put together started to get dismantled. There was a point there where we got an email that verification of indexing was stopping. Verification is very important, because you type something in incorrectly and nobody looks at it.
Right.
It's out there in the world incorrectly.
Right.
So those type things, the production ideology was gone. And if you go back to your interview, I think it was 2 weeks after the election.
Right.
We should have saw this coming, because there was a quoting Mr. Miller he said, "You don't manage people, you manage things."
Right.
That right there, and that ideology he brought in there. It immediately, production was, you were not allowed to compare yourself to your coworker. So if you were an indexer and you did 100 documents a day,
right,
you shouldn't expect your coworker to do the same thing. They have to work at their pace. And you really can't let people self-regulate themselves. You have to have some type of baseline standard in there. So that ideology just messed up the office.
Okay, Bob, and this might be a silly question coming from me, but let me ask you this. What things were Mr. Miller managing as far as things versus people?
Trips, image. There aren't really things inside the office to manage. You have people and the paper, the documents, and how they get in and out. And the efficiency that we had up to 2019, there were times we were 72 hours out. Something getting recorded, getting it sent back to the recorder. But yeah, there was just a mindset that's incorrect for that office.
Wow. Now, what exact trips are you referring to?
Learning how to be a register and what the register office does. So these are trips across the state,
Right.
to Texas,
Right.
meeting with other registers and conferences and learning.
On the job experience.
Yes.
Oh. Huh. Did that even help him?
No. As we can see.
Yeah, right. From what I'm reading and obviously hearing about in the interviews. Let me jump right into it. Okay, what policies now, Mr. Bob, would you restore to manage the office on a production basis?
Yes, we would definitely have to go back to some type of expectations. If you are a indexer, we would have to expect X amount of documents for you to index. Same with recorders. The imaging department, we had the same thing. We expected you to do so many stacks of deeds, mortgages, or SATs, whatever. You have to have that baseline.
Right.
You can't just let the office free flow, which it does. I mean, right now. I mean, an email was sent around that for the first time in 26 years that I experienced, people were now having to clock in and out for lunch because they were abusing their lunch hours, coming back late, that type of stuff. You have to manage the office. You can't just let it. It's not the entity that works on its own.
And how many of those people, I know this is really irrelevant to all of what's going on in the office, that's because I have so many questions to ask you, but how many people were actually coming in late from their lunch breaks?
That I don't have access to the numbers. Even though I set up the software for clocking in and clocking out.
Okay.
There was a point there that access was limited to me.
Wow.
So exact numbers, I couldn't tell you. It was enough for an email to be sent out and officially made policy.
And when exactly was that policy made?
I think the late summer of this year.
Wow. Now, Mr. Bob, let me ask you, how many amounts of documents were actually processed in the office during the time that Mr. Miller, well, obviously he's still there until November, how many amount of documents have been processed thus far?
Well, in the last report I did was 2017, 2018.
Oh, yeah.
We did over 200,000 documents there. I compared that to 2019 and 2020. And it was like 196,000.
Wow.
It was less in 2019 and 2020. Now, I'm sure we're going to hear it was a pandemic and the office was closed.
Right.
But let me clarify. The office was never closed to the employees.
Right.
We still had to either go in and work or we worked from home. I procured 8 laptops for people to work from home.
Right.
So I want to dispel that already because I know those excuses will be coming as they have over the last 3 years.
Now, to be fair, in the interview that I did with Ms. Karen a couple of weeks ago, Karen Hollins for Quintin, she's the Democratic nominee for this position as well. She basically told me, hey, she had to go in herself and actually work during the pandemic as well, and other employees actually had to work from home.
Correct.
How many of those employees actually worked from home during this pandemic?
Like I said, I procured 8 laptops for those people who were allowed to work from home. The rest had to come in. And there was compensation. The county gave them $250 a a week, or if you work from home, you got an extra 40 hours added to your leave.
Now, how many of those people actually had to come in physically to the office around the corner there?
The rest of us, so if 8 were working from home, and I believe at that time we had 24 employees.
Oh, yeah.
So the rest of them had to come in.
Was there, let me ask you this, because I want to, how many of those employees were actually coming in and doing work overtime during that particular period?
There wasn't much overtime going on in that. And there's some puzzling things. Let me go back to 2006, during that being what we did. We actually had 2 shifts going. Mm-hmm. We had people that would come in at 7, and they'd leave around 3. We had more people coming at 3, and then that building stays open from 7 to 11.
Okay.
And during that whole time, you can get work done.
Yeah.
And that's one of the philosophies that I would like to bring to the office. We can get work done from 7 to 11. We can work with our employees to see what schedule is best for them. You know, you have single moms with kids, and we can be flexible and still get work done. Having people work overtime can just wear them out. I mean, you got them overtime now, you got them work on Saturday, you got people coming in from other counties. Right. It's ridiculous.
When did you learn that more, other employees from other counties had to come in and actually help the workload there at the Charleston County Register of Deeds office?
I think I got that information prior to the court order coming out. Right. That was last year. But when I heard that, it was just, I don't know. It's just so frustrating to see the waste of our tax dollars for mismanagement purposes.
And how much money did the average taxpayer have to pay for this mismanagement in this office with this current register?
That is something I wanted to do a FOIA on with the county to find out exactly how much money has been appropriated to the office for hiring other county workers to come in.
Wow.
Back in 2006, we hired people, but we hired local temp people.
Right.
We kept the dollars in Charleston County. And it worked really well. It helped us get through that big boom. But there is a lot of waste going on as far as money. And there's some items I'd like to discuss a little later.
Sure.
Yeah.
What items right now that are particularly considered wasteful in the office as you know it?
Well, one of the things that I wanted to touch on was you did an interview on June 13th, day before primary.
Right.
And 24 minutes into your interview, the current register said that we have scans from 1998, 97 to current. And we have 1 million pages that need to be scanned in. And the vendors are wanting $3 million tax dollars to do that. Well, I have added to my website a link to your interview.
Right.
So on my bobforrod.com, you can go look at your interview, and then right below that, you can download an Excel file that I kept track of. We actually have over 500,000 of those documents already online. You can today go pull up the 1719 original color documents. So you can do the 1700s, you can do the 1800s. The reason that the website says 97 to current is because we can't guarantee from 96 back to 1790 that every document is there.
Right.
But if you go download that file, you'll see just how much work we have done since 2009 on scanning all those documents. So we need some type of oversight so that this doesn't, a register goes in and just espouses something and needs money to do something that we're already doing. We need to curtail that.
As a matter of fact, Bob, that was my next question. Would you have hired an outside firm to help you all scan these documents?
Absolutely not. In 2013, I procured a $150,000 scanner camera from France.
Right.
And that was the purpose of that purchase, was to in-house do all that work. And we did from 2009, we got the camera in 2013, and that's what we've been doing the whole time, is scanning those. It's so frustrating to see proposals coming in, and I even had to talk to vendors and get prices from them from the current register to do exactly what I was doing. And it was so frustrating.
You talk about those proposals. What exactly were they?
They were quotes for scanning the historical documents, for scanning microfilm.
Right.
The conversion, for example, the microfilm,
right,
to digital.
Oh, yes.
We have scanners in the office to do that. We bought 2 of them. They were $24,000, $25,000 each. And we had people sitting there and doing that. We, under the leadership of Mr. Lybrand, we made sure we could in-house do everything that we needed to do.
What else can you do in-house right now, Mr. Bob? Sorry about that lawnmower in the background.
What else can we do in-house?
Yes, sir.
Well, we are pretty much set up to do everything that we need currently. Now, if I am elected for this office, there are things that I will improve and use within, I think, 45 days, depending on logistics of getting the scanners. I can implement the feature of, you record a document, we can hand it right back to you. We don't need to hold on to it. That is so easy to do. Within, like I say, within 45 days, I can do that. We have features. The software that we use is the Highland OnBase ECM, Enterprise Content Management System. There are features within that software that we're not utilizing. We can cut our indexing almost in half by utilizing some of those features. And I would love to give you details. Maybe in October, I can give you the exact details of how that can be done.
Okay.
But if I give out too much of the details of how to do that, you know what happens.
Well, let me ask you this, Mr. Bob. How is the office currently verifying index records to correct errors?
That is a very good question. Since my last month there was December of 2021.
Oh, okay.
What they are doing now, I honestly cannot comment on that. I do know at a point we were not verifying index, we were not verifying scanning. Scanning is so important to verify because your scanner can pull multiple pages through. You can miss pages.
Oh, yeah.
Stuff like that was happening. And we've got to get back to the quality.
Right. Yes. Yeah, the quality, absolutely. And Mr. Bob, I'm actually, unfortunately, running out of time. But let me ask you, how many production baselines have been eliminated in the past 3 years?
Production baselines all throughout the whole office. Your how many documents you record, how many person indexes, how much scanning gets done. All those we had baselines for. We had standards. All that got eliminated because of the philosophy of you can self-regulate what you do, and then you can't compare the two employees to each other.
And during this time, Mr. Bob, when Mr. Miller, he obviously he's still there, like I said, until at least January. But
Yes.
did he ever pitch in when the workload became a little too much for you all?
The management team did not do that. My philosophy is management should be the first people there and the last people to leave. That was not the case. And no, the management team they were on the job training. When they came in, they didn't know anything about the office. We experienced employees had to teach them about the office and whatnots. So as of December 2021, no, it did not physically see anybody in the management team jumping in to help the workers.
And I know you retired in December of 2021. How many people actually left the office, since Mr. Miller has been in office?
The last count I did, I know there was over 18. And it was not because, now we're able to retire. I would still be there if it wasn't for the philosophy of the office. I didn't really want to retire. It was just the dismantling of everything that we have done over the 26 years was getting dismantled. So a lot of people were pushed out, so to speak, because of the lack of respect for them, the ignoring their skills and expertise. The first week, our deputy of 30, she was there 30 plus years.
Right.
The first week, her name was removed off the letterheads. Her keys were taken away from her. It was that attitude toward the veteran employees that pushed most of them out the door.
And how many veteran employees are still there today?
There are 8 people left. I know confirmation 2 will be retiring at the end of this year.
Right.
And so you have possibly 5 or 6 that will be remaining. Now, here's an issue for the next register.
Okay.
Your employee pool that you will be, if you don't know how to run that office and if you don't know how the whole office works, your employee pool is going to have an experience of 3 years or less. So if you don't know what that office does and how it works, you're going to have issues. Now, there's been suggestions of hiring, and even in the court order, hiring old employees to come back. Okay. Well, the current register has filled all the FTEs. So in order to bring employees back, you're going to have to fire somebody. You can bring them back as subcontractors.
Right.
But will they want to do that? I know there's a lot of employees that did not want to help right now simply by how they were treated while they were there.
Wow.
So it's possible you can hire some ex-employees to come back as subcontractors work, but to be full-time employees, you will have to replace people. And nobody wants to do that.
And one last thing, Mr. Bob, how would you obviously get the employee retention rate back to where it was before the current register came into office?
You have to first appreciate your employees, the work they do, and it's more than just words.
Right.
You got to show them that you appreciate them. And it's managing 101 for that part there. Take care of your employees. Like I said, we're open 7 to 11 in that building. We can work with our employees and help them with that 8 to 5 and then make them work overtime. We can work from home. I think I read an editorial where this Someone said this current register was trying to bring the office into the 21st century. We've been there for decades already. That's how you're able to work from home. That's a product of the 21st century. Buzzwords like digitize and modernize. We've been digitized since 1997. And all you have to do is go to the ROD website and just look at it and read the different pages. Go to the archive page, see how long we've been scanning, what we've got scanned in. And I'm starting, based on your interview on June 13th, I'm starting a new YouTube channel called Charleston County Register of Deeds Insights. And I'm going to demonstrate all these things, what we've scanned in, how to pull them up, what the ROD office does, how to use its online services, so that the Charleston County citizens can be educated. So just somebody coming out and saying, well, I need $3 million to do this. No, we're gonna protect the office.
And what is the current budget for the office right now?
That I don't exactly know. I'm thinking 2 million plus. I would have to look at the last budget sheet that I was privy to see. Yeah, that's something I'm going to have to check into.
And if you were to be elected, Bob, that is, what in the budget would you take out, just to help save some money for that office?
Definitely the travel budget. It's got to be. I think that went up to 10 grand. We have another item that we are wasting money on, and it's the large format printer in the copy desk.
Okay.
We pay over $800 a month to lease that item. And while I was there during 19 through 21, I tried to procure a $13,000 large format printer that we would own.
Right. So
we are spending over 10 grand a year just on this one item. That's got to go. It's got to be changed. What else is there that? If I had the budget, I'd go through the line item.
Yes.
Each line item. There's some things that you don't change. NSF accounts, you don't mess with that because the other, like the record center, they do all that stuff.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And I hope to get you back on as well as Ms. Karen in October to talk more about this. But Bob McIntyre, thank you again for your time here on Quintin's Close-Ups. I truly appreciate it.
Thank you, Quinn. Appreciate it.
You're welcome anytime.